Today I want to talk about anger. It's kind of a subject I feel a little bit of an expert on. I know a lot about it. Because truthfully, it's my default. My default is to get mad. I don't know whether it's a personality thing or an Irish thing, I don't know. But I'm amazed sometimes at people. I say, they make you mad? And they say no, and then I get mad that they're not mad. That's how bad it is. I get mad at injustice, inequality. I guess maybe that's why I can relate to Moses so much. That was one angry dude. I mean, think about it. Every story practically, he's mad about something. So the Israelites are wandering in the wilderness of sin. Isn't that a great place to be? I wish I could tell you that it had some rich, deep meaning, but it doesn't. It's untranslatable in the Hebrew, and it was a literal geographic place. But they were journeying, as we know, and the people said to Moses, "Give us something to drink." I think it sounded like that. But Moses immediately pushes back. "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you test the Lord?" He goes to his default position immediately. He's angry. All he can hear is that his leadership is being criticized. He becomes defensive immediately. All he could hear was how it affected him. "Why do you quarrel with me?" I mean, really, hear the story. Moses were thirsty. "What are you arguing with me about?" "Nothing, just thirsty." You see, the people had a legitimate need. They were parched, they were dehydrated. Now, this wasn't like a middle-class problem. Like some of mine, you know, the dog eats through the irrigation system. No, this was life and death issue. Now, if Moses' default was anger, the people's default definitely was complaining. For sure. We should have never come here. If only we had stayed in Egypt. Why did you bring us out here? So that we, our livestock, and our kids, we could all die? Is that what you did, Moses? Why did you bring us out of Egypt? But here's what's interesting. It seems to me that God heard their cries. In fact, I think that's the actual linchpin of the whole story of liberation, the organizing principle, as it were. That God hears the cries of people. Because there's definitely a difference between real needs and whining. Right? Those of us that are parents in the room know the difference. There's real needs, and then there's whining. There's basic survival and ingratitude. Very different. Moses had a hard time hearing the people. He could not hear or acknowledge their thirst. And I want to suggest for today that he wasn't in touch with the way his anger was making him so defensive. His anger blocked his ears and his heart to his people's cry. When they left that place, they named it Masa Meragah, which just means testing and quarreling. Even after the water comes out of the rock and the people drink, Moses hasn't let it go. So he still named the place. Yeah, every time we go by here, you're going to remember that's where you whined. That's where you questioned my leadership. In fact, is God among us or not? Anger is a powerful emotion, isn't it? Powerful. So what are you angry about? Traffic? Overscheduled lives? Email? The 49ers? How about the political environment? Ah, I didn't work there. Okay, good. Our polarized neighborhoods. How about my neighbor's 6-foot pumpkin that plays Monster Mash 24/7? Middle class problem, I know. Who's thirsty? Who is crying out? And has our anger stopped us from hearing that? Hearing one another. This weekend is Faith and Housing Weekend, and there's a lot of anger from different areas around the housing crisis, is there not? And anger entrenches us, I believe, in our labels and categories. In other words, when I'm angry at my child, I'm very entrenched in my category as a parent. I'm the parent. When a business is not serving me in the ways I think they should, I'm the customer. Get the drift? Anger almost cements us, a particular role or identity in that moment. But what if for a moment, in the whole housing crisis, what if we could just transcend that? What if we could let those categories go from it, the categories of tenant and landlord, categories of homeowner and renter, of white collar and blue collar, of hipsters and hairdressers, of tech workers, the overhoused and the underhoused, the no-housed. What if we could transcend for a moment the market and supply and demand and the balance? What if we can transcend for a moment the gridlock traffic and the seemingly dwindling hours in a day? And what if then we could meet each other human to human, hear each other? Because like the people of Moses' time, we face a huge challenge in this city and in this county. And for some, it is life and death. For many, it is quality of life. For many, it is being torn from the place that they love and the place where their children go to school and the place where they had hoped to retire because the people aren't here. We face a challenge here in San Mateo County. 75% of all the county land is protected open space. 75%. 25% is urban and suburban development, and 2/3 of the developed land is single-family homes. From 2010 to 2014, San Mateo County added 54,600 new jobs. Got that? How many new housing units do you think were added?
20.
About 2,000. And you wonder why there's traffic. Are you with me so far? Are you transcending the categories? In San Mateo County, median rent for a one-bedroom apartment. One-bedroom apartment, $2,735. Median rent for a two-bedroom, $3,400. Median home sales price, $1.25 million. We're one of the only counties where you can buy $1 million fixer.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was going door to door, doing some canvassing for getting out the vote. I'm doing it in my neighborhood, around 25th Ave, right up the road here. And I tell you the honest truth. Before I knocked on one door, I saw a U-Haul in front of an apartment building. And I'm one of these crazy people who loves to do door-to-door knocking. I love it. I do. You meet the most interesting people. They talk to you, most of them. They tell you things about their lives. So I walked up to the family getting in the U-Haul and said, I'm out here, I'm about to do some canvassing in the neighborhood, and I see you're moving. Can't afford the rents, he said. I said, where are you going? Modesto. He said, we all are. And then he looked at me and he said, I want to be able to buy a home too. So are we hearing? Transcend your category. Are we hearing the teachers, the skilled laborers, the firefighters, the landscapers, the restaurant workers, the construction workers? Are we hearing? Yesterday, I was out for about 3 hours, 2.5 hours, and just my experience yesterday, as I knocked on doors and talked to many people. I talked to one in my canvassing, in my neighborhood, one Caucasian person. The rest were all people of color in San Mateo City. Many of the people I talked to at risk are going to have to leave the city because of the increase in prices. We're losing something precious. Can we listen? Can we hear who is thirsty? Even in the church. Let's take the church capital C for a moment. Can we hear each other? There's a lot of anger about the housing crisis on all sides. There's a lot of anger around racism, is there not, right now? In this politics of polarization, fueled by anger. But can we hear each other in the church? Capital C. Listen to this. 82% of black mainline Protestants see the police killings of African American men as part of a pattern. Okay? Got that? 73% of white mainline Protestants say the opposite, that they are isolated incidents. Did you catch that?
No.
And this is not random America, this is the church. Capital C that we're talking about. The church who sings the same hymns, reads the same gospels, follows the same Jesus. Can we listen to each other? So do you notice yourself feeling angry about anything I've said today? Well, if you have, here's the good news. I believe anger can help show us the way forward. As Jan Richardson says, as with any emotion, anger can be a map. Within the landscape of our life, the presence of anger reveals where our passions lie, whom we love, what we consider important. Anger shows us where we are vulnerable where there are cracks or wounds in our soul, where there is brokenness within or around us. And if we pay attention to what anger reveals about the terrain of our soul, it can help us find a path ahead. Anger is a messenger. It always tells us about who we are and how we are connected with those around us. And that's why, or part of why at least, anger can be so difficult and complicated. It reminds us what matters to us. It reminds us what matters to us. Years ago, I read an essay by a famous feminist theologian, Beverly Harrison, who wrote, "The Power of Anger in the Work of Love." Because anger can fuel action. Anger is not the opposite of love, she says, but it is better understood as a signal that all is not well in our relation to other persons or groups or to the world around us. Anger is a mode of connectedness and can lead us to a vivid form of caring. Where anger arises, there the energy to act is present. It's what we do with anger. It's what we let it reveal to us. So today, if I've said something where you felt some anger, just ask yourself, what is that revealing to me? I'm not trying to make you mad. That's not my point. But when we have a defense or something, it reveals something to us about our connectedness or maybe our lack of. Silicon Valley and San Mateo is a glittering icon of commerce. But I wonder, are we an icon of compassion? We don't want to be known for our hubris, but for our humanity, I think. Anger can energize us, reveal to us where we're perhaps not listening, where we need to let go of some category, identity, or label that we're somehow attached to, and to hear others. Perhaps, this is my great hope, perhaps anger will help us to be part of a moral and spiritual transformation. After all, San Mateo, St. Matthew, right? An infamous tax collector in his time, exacting from the poor they had, or exacting from them the little they had to ensure the pleasures of the wealthy, but St. Matthew was transformed into seeing people differently. And he rearranged his priorities, because any moral or spiritual transformation ends up in a rearranging of priorities. Adrian Rich says it this way: anger and tenderness, my selves. And now I believe they breathe in me as angels, not polarities. Anger and tenderness, the spider's genius to spin and weave in the same action from her own body, anywhere, even from a broken web. So even from the broken web of my own life, anger and tenderness. I've learned to listen to my anger because it reveals to me what matters to me. It exposes my connectedness or lack of connectedness to others. It propels me to action. Beloved community, people are thirsty. Will we see them as complainers or recognize a real need? Will we call this place testing and quarreling? Or will we ask, is God among us? Or will we state, God